Hi, welcome to the Sliabh Luachra series. Before I start, I have to thank Cork, Kerry and Limerick County Councils and wish the support of Creative Ireland and the Arts Council. That's how this is possible. I'd also like to dedicate this episode to the John Paul McAuliffe and his family for leaving us use this wonderful building, the Culture in Macauliffe in Newmarket. I know they're big fans of Irish culture and they've put a lot of time into and effort into renewing this building. In this one, I'm going to be looking at some commercial recordings, I suppose, and then I'm going to be talking to someone about a song. I'm going to have some great young musicians. But first, if we look back to the first one in the series, in that we told you about a website, worldfiddleday.scartaglen.ie, and all the great archive recordings and home recordings that are now available to anyone who's interested in Sliabh Luachra music. It's a great resource for anyone who's wanting to learn old tunes or know a bit more about the music. We also launched a record label, Sliabh Luachra Records, and we launched the first release on that, which was Brian O'Leary, and he had an album called Tranquility in Touring Cal. Let's take a track from that now. It was the first track, lead track that we put out on it. It's called Crida ó Círí Luachra, and Brian is joined by Therese McInerney and Sharon Howley. you can get that with all the other tunes that were released on Tranquility in Turin Cahill on the Bandcamp site, sliabhluachra.bandcamp.com. You can also check sliabhluachra.ie, you'll get links there as well. We actually are in the process of recording the next one of these releases, and I can tell you now it is brilliant, and it is from the immensely talented concertina player from Abbeyfield, Maura O'Connor. Let's go now and we'll listen to, actually, it's one of Maura's students, Emma Crowley, coming to you from the Kingdom of Kerry.
Hi, my name is Emma and I'm going to be playing Dennis Dooley's polka and the piano polka.
Niamh Ni Charra from Killarney is an amazing musician. She plays the fiddle and the concertina, and she writes her own music as well. She's played from a very young age, and not long after she decided to try and make a living out of music, she ended up touring the world. Firstly with Riverdance, and then as a solo performer in her own right. Donnelly's Arm is her 5th studio album, and it came out just before Christmas, so thought we should have a bit of a chat about it.
Yeah. Do you want me to do that again, or are you okay?
Oh yeah, no, do for the crack, yeah. Sorry, that was it.
So, well, I suppose, I mean, you know yourself, the Cuz album that came out in 2014. So that's been quite a while, and it just kind of I was suddenly realizing that time was passing, and I really needed to bring out another album, just for myself. I mean, material was gathering, but also just so, you always need to have new material if you want to be continuously working, So it was always my intention to do the new album in 2020. And we were all ready to go. Rehearsals were kind of lined up for the summer, but then the pandemic hit. So great fun, great timing all around. But it was a strange experience. We kind of went from having one studio booked to having to book 6, so that musicians didn't have to travel and that musicians were safe in terms of numbers. So it ended up being quite an interesting, I suppose, 9 months in the end. We started off just rehearsing the tunes. I mean, I had obviously been gathering material for quite a long time. Yeah, we were kind of unlucky in some ways with the lockdown, but I was also lucky in another way. My other life, as you will know yourself, Stan, is as an archivist, and I'm working in NUIG at the moment. And normally I would commute from Dublin to Galway on a Monday and come back on a Friday. But once lockdown happened and we started working from home, I was back living in Dublin full time, and my partner's here. And so at the end of the working day, we'd sit down and start working on the album together, you know. So we had that lovely process that, you know, we mightn't have had. Lockdown, I think, lifted in the summer, and we immediately went down to Ennisdiamond, where Dom Keogh lives, and hooked up with him. And then it looked like another lockdown was coming, so I was frantically bringing forward recording dates, and, you know, talking to everybody, literally sending music files to rehearse, and then when it came to recording, sending the studio files for everyone to record to. But, you know, really, it was a stressful process at times, but also quite a fun process and a nice distraction from everything that was going on. But finally, I have to say, the best part of it was the camaraderie with everybody. You know, all the musicians really, you know, came up trumps and were so flexible about everything. And like, everybody was really so delighted to be recording, to be doing something. And it was a strange way to record, but, you know, everyone just wanted to be doing something and were really, really very helpful to me. So I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, that's the story behind the actual recording of it. The story behind the album is a whole other story. So the recording was one side of it. The other side of it are, I suppose, the stories that I kind of share through the tunes on the album. And the front and center is the story behind the name of the album. So the album is called Donnelly's Arm. And I'm a very, very proud Kerry woman, a very proud Sliabh Luachra woman, but I've been based in the Liberties for the last 10, 15 years. And I heard a story while having a joch in my local in the Liberties about this guy called Dan Donnelly. And Dan Donnelly was a boxer. He became quite a famous boxer, and he's actually in the Boxing Hall of Fame, would you believe? But he died 200 years ago last year. And he had become famous because he had a fight in the Curragh in Kildare. He had a few fights, and he had beaten a few English boxers that happened to be kind of labelled, you know, world champions or champion boxers. But you would have had 20,000 people at these matches. Like it was a big, you know, he had a big following. But anyway, when he died, his body was robbed, and body snatching was quite the thing at the time. And his fans, however, weren't having it. And a few of them got together and they did a bit of research, and they worked out who had ordered the body to be robbed. And they tracked this guy down, and it turned out he was a surgeon, and he had wanted to rob the body to study it. He did a bit of a deal with them. He basically arranged that they would take Donnelly's body back for reburial, but that he would keep one arm. And that's what happened. He kept one arm, the right arm, the arm that hit the Englishmen, as it so happens. And he filled it with red lead, which preserved it. And it ended up going to what is now Edinburgh University to be studied by medical students. And a few years later, it went traveling all around Great Britain as part of a Victorian circus. It eventually came back to Ireland about 80 years ago to a pub in Belfast. It finally made its way back to Kildare. It's in a pub in Kildare now. But about 10 years ago, it travelled first class in a specially made glass case over to America for some exhibition. So I suppose the irony is that the arm has become more famous and more well-travelled than Donnelly himself. So that's the story about Dan Donnelly. And there's a musical connection as well. He was actually discovered by an aristocrat who was also a piper, Sir William Kelly. And a lot of pipers would know his name. So there you go.
The tune I'm going to play is called Alexander's. My grandfather, Connie O'Connell, taught this tune to me, and Johnny O'Leary also played this tune.
So that was Elin O'Connor, the granddaughter of Connie O'Connell and daughter of Anya and Francis O'Connor, who we're going to meet later on. Now we're going to talk to you about a song. This is taken from an album by Tim Brown called Pull Out the Choke, which is available on the Scully's Fest site, but it was from a CD that accompanied this book called Stories and Song. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably a bit shiny, and it's black as well. But it's a deadly collection of songs, lyrics and anecdotes from the barony of the Holla, compiled by Tim Brown. The book is out of print, but I was talking to Tim Brown actually very recently, as you'll see, and he says that there might be an updated Volume 1 or Volume 2 coming soon. We'll see. The song that we're going to talk about in particular is a song called The Girl from Clashkinleah. Tim found a poem by a man named Dan Sheehan, who was originally from Barley Hill here in Newmarket, but moved to Australia. There's a deadly story that goes with Dan, and this wouldn't be the first time that someone took one of his poems and turned it into a song. And in fact, in the 1950s, one of his poems became a massive kind of worldwide hit for a man called Slim Dusty, and it was covered by everyone after that, including the Pogues and the Dubliners and stuff. That's a pub with no beer. Well, why I wanted to talk to Tim about this is because really just to find out about finding the poem and then turning it into a song.
I think the first time I came across it was in Marie Kelleher's book from Duhallis, Oregon, 1880 to 1960. And she had collected a poem from a Murphy man, I think he was from Roscommon. I mentioned it to Raymond O'Sullivan in the market, and Raymond had a copy of a book called Dan Sheehan, Bush Balladist. And it was a fantastic book written by a woman called Irene Maskell, who did extensive research on the life of Dan Sheehan in Australia. And The Girl from Clashkinleah was published in that particular book. And it had a couple of extra verses that wasn't in Marie's book. And it was obvious, and I think to me anyway, that Dan Sheehan was definitely the man that composed it. And it was just such an interesting song about a time he spent after the First World War, when he came back to Newmarket, after a good few years of being an immigrant in Australia, before he headed back out again. And it just jumped off the pages to me to make a song out of it, because I didn't know anything about it really up to then.
You didn't really have a melody to start with. It was a poem, really. How did you come up with the melody for it?
I was trying different, melodies and rhythms for it, and when I started off, when I got one, and it fitted it fine. It was kind of like, because there was like 8 lines and that, it fitted the rhythm, and I was singing it a bit like that, but I wasn't kind of happy with it, because it is nice in a song, I think, to have a kind of a recognised local tune in it, and the other melody didn't seem to work out that way. And I was playing a tune that Timmy Connors had a lovely waltz called Pull Down the Blinds that he got from Jack Kane, and which the Monks of the Screw recorded it on their first album in 1991. And I was tipping around with it one evening, and just the next thing, I got a kind of a little riff going in it, and it suited grand. So Pull Down the Blinds was like the inspiration for the melody that eventually arrived there. It's not, the two melodies are completely different, but there's little pieces in it that might remind you of Pull Down the Blind. The waltz fits in nice, at the end of it, or maybe you could use a little riff from Pull Down the Blinds. It just seemed to work in waltz time. But I'd say Pull Down the Blinds, definitely. It's just such a nice tune, The heather was blooming in Cummer, the skylark was chanting a lay. From tower with the soft breeze of summer came scent of the new gathered hay. Well, the gardens, they never looked better, and the corn and the turnips were green. All along by that road where I met her, the girl from Clashkinleah. You may talk of your Hollywood beauties, proud ladies of cinema fame, your Sassenach major French cuties, she sure would put them to shame. Her skin was like snow on the reeks when cold winter weather is in, and the paint that she had in her cheeks never came out of a tin. The ass that she drove was contrary, so slow was he lifting his feet, that I jumped on that cat beside Mary. She gave me one half of her seat. Her head soon lay on my shoulder, and we kissed, cuddled and necked, and the plausible tale that I told her, sure alas it had little effect. Says she, there's a boy in Drishan that's breaking his heart about me. He has 14 good cows in his barn, and there's grass there right up to your knees. He've plenty of hay in the haggard, his yard holds a good reek of turf. From porter he's never yet staggered, he knows when he's taken off. They tell me he has no bad habits, Mum thinks that he's gentle and kind. Dad says 'tis a chance I should grab it, for better I never may find. Then don't you then think I'd be silly, well fit for the madhouse or zoo, to go out and to boil a black billy in the wilds of Australia with you. The knockback 'twas quick, 'twas sudden, I felt a great pain in my heart, as against my ribs it went thudding, sure I nearly fell out of the car. My ship by the seaside I sought her, and next morning we sailed down the Lee, and soon many miles of salt water there rolled between Mary and me. That ever I go to do hallow, the chances may be 1 in 10. I never may walk by the Allo or gaze on Sliabh Luachra again. But off Twen alone on the prairie, and nightshades come down on the scene, sure as oft times I'll think of young Mary, the girl from Clashkinleah.
mighty young musician Sean Butler. Sean has a YouTube channel, I know, because I was subscribed to him last year during lockdown, I think, when he was putting up tunes on a very regular basis. He's a great music fan, and we always see him at nights in Scartaglin. So well done, Sean. Now, to finish things off, I want to take you to a place called The Spout. It's up at the edge of the hill country, just above the village of Broadford. The hills drop away really suddenly here, and there's a breathtaking view of the whole of County Limerick. You can see straight up to the estuary. You can see over to the Galties. It's really, it's amazing. The camera isn't going to do it any justice at all. Right here at The Spout is where Anya and Francis O'Connor live. Last year, they brought out an album called It Didn't Come Home Till Morning, and I thought it would have got more attention only for the lockdown, so I thought it was a really good idea to have a chat with him and get him to play a few tunes and tell us a bit about the album.
We looked at two duets, I suppose. We looked at a duet, a fiddle duet and a flute and fiddle duet. So the fiddle duet we looked at would be my dad, Connie O'Connell, and Dennis McMahon. We looked at the music they played and some of the selections of tunes that they put together. And then we also looked at Mass Murphy and John Joe Hartner, who would be from Francis' side of the country, from West Limerick, and some of the local tunes that they played. And we decided maybe just to research a bit about the duets themselves, I suppose, their friendship and their musical journey together. And we played some of the tunes that they played as well, I suppose, to pass them on, to keep the selections alive, to pass them on. And also we also recorded some of the tunes that Francis composed as well. So he's composed some nice tunes. So it's kind of a mixture, I suppose, of old stuff and newish stuff, isn't it? But more folk than old, I suppose, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I would imagine it's more old.
It's old, yeah. And we were accompanied by Brian Mooney and Bouzouki, so Brian was great, yeah.
Another Kerry man.
Another Kerry man, yeah. So he was a very patient man, I think. Yeah. So
The blessed trinity of Park Kerry and
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, we're going to play two slides now. They came from Mass Murphy and John Joe Hartnett, and we were very lucky to get a recording of Mass Murphy and John Joe Hartnett from Nora Nocton. She was John Joe Hartnett's daughter, so she very kindly gave us this recording of the pair playing these slides. And she told us that this particular set of slides were recorded by Taigo Melcaha, who's from Timaclenton, and he recorded them in Timaclenton at a session one night. So that's what we're going to play now. We're going to play two jigs this time, the Farewell to Ballinahullah and the Hungry Rocks. We got these from the playing of Connie and Dennis. They recorded them for a Pure Drop programme in 1988. The first tune, Paddy Cronin also recorded on his album Kerry's Own, and the second tune, The Hungry Rocks, I'm told that Dennis and Connie got this from the playing of Tommy Reck, the piper from Dublin. We played two reels, The Mills Are Grinding and The Miller's Daughter. Again, we got this selection from Connie and Dennis, who in turn heard the Ballinahullah Céilí Band from South East Galway playing them.
Okay, we're going to play 2 polkas this time, and they're 2 tunes I composed myself, or got from a higher authority, as I don't write down tunes at all, I just get them into my head from somewhere. So we're going to play these 2. They're called, the first one's called Spa to Spout, and the name of that comes from where I came from at home. It's called the Spa, and where I'm living now is called the Spout. So I moved about 20 minutes away from Spa to Spout, so that's how the name came around. And the second one then is Swings on the Sloan On, which is right across the road from our own house. There's a ring fort with a big wooded area, and when we were young there was very big beech trees, and we used to put swings off of the branches of these. There were huge trees, and we swing out of the river, and the river is called the Sloan On, and that's where the name of this comes from. Okay.
I think that's it. Thanks for staying to the end. We should be back mid-March with Maura O'Connor's album release and a few other things. It's going to be great. After that, the plan is to do some stuff with the Morris O'Keeffe Festival and the Fly by the Feel in May, and the old festival stuff will be starting to happen then. So I'll play out with a couple of tunes. You know, the links that I was putting up on the screen, go follow those. I'll put them somewhere as well that you can click on them. And thanks again. I'll play one or two tunes, and I think I'm going to play tunes from people that you would have seen talking and playing tonight. Okay? See you later.